Danite Radio.
Welcome to the Counter Revolution. Okay, we're rolling.
Sweet.
We're going.
What's up?
Nothing much. How you been?
Good.
Can you hear yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. Never mind. I can hear myself now. My volume is down.
Check your volume, bro.
Super professional start here. James, you'll be super happy.
Our one fan. These kids are all super jealous of us now, too.
Yeah, I know.
They're like, I guess we got to start a podcast for our dad to love us.
Well, for some of them, even that won't help.
Oh, shots fired. Hey, James, tell your kids not to listen.
Just kidding.
Shoot, dang. How you been? How's your week been?
Good. I had my wife with me, so that was awesome.
Welcome home, Catherine.
Yeah, just work, and we had a small viewing for our grandpa, as you guys are aware, and I liked it. You know, I'm okay with the small gathering.
Yeah, I hope mine comes during a pandemic as well.
Yeah.
To have the same sort of gathering.
Yeah, just something small. No need to have a bunch of speakers and take 6 hours out of people's day.
Nope.
I think, are they still planning on having a memorial at a later date?
Yeah.
That's the last I heard.
That's kind of what I figured, which will be fine. It'll be good to go and hear more stories about Grandpa.
And I think it'll be a little easier to sit through
Mm-hmm.
because everybody will have dealt with it and will be able to come up with really nice things to say about
Yeah, and
Grandpa.
there may not be as many as
Painful of messages.
emotions as close to the
yeah.
surface.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It'll be good. I think it will be good. I thought the memorial service was good as well.
Yeah.
Or
Sweet.
the funeral services. Yeah. What about you, Rock Dog? How was your week?
Not good. Kind of just watched TV all week.
Happy quarantine.
I'm back on the caffeine, bro.
Oh boy. How much?
I've been fast about it today, and I don't think I'm supposed to be off of it.
Interesting.
I'm starting to think I might have a little ADD or something. The caffeine kind of levels me out, helps me focus. Because I was off it for like a month and a half, and it was great. Like, as far as like my sleep patterns go, I slept a lot better, and like you said, there was more control of my emotions, and I could feel feelings like the fake. I feel like Satan could insert himself into my emotions better
When you were off?
when I was on it.
Oh, I see.
But, dude, I just didn't want to do anything. I just would lay in bed.
Hard to motivate.
I did not want to do anything. And, I drank one yesterday, and I had the most productive day I've had in a month and a half. And I'm a productive guy, I get stuff done. So,
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there are cases of, a few psychologists being like, yeah, you need to drink caffeine. So, for now, I'm back on it until I can figure out what's going on upstairs.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take it real easy. I might even do, one every other day or something until the addiction gets me bad and I'm back to 3 a day. But
And I think that's the overarching principle I've learned is it's a moderation thing. It's
sure.
You got to be wise and use it sparingly because I have used caffeine on and off since quitting, and the experience I've had both restarting and stopping has been a lot better. No withdrawal symptoms, none of that, because I'm using it mindfully and
Sure.
for the most part.
I get that.
No, I fasted today, and I stayed up all night last night because I drank 300 milligrams. I just grabbed, this pre-workout drink, and I was, drinking. I'm like, 300 milligrams? I haven't had caffeine in a month and a half. Shit. So I was up till 4 in the morning watching Ozarks.
Oh,
Ozark.
oh, you're preaching the choir on that one, yeah.
Dang, bro. So,
That's funny.
It is
That's
way
a-
more
that's
powerful
a
when you're
word.
not using it, and then I'm like,
but when I prayed to observe the word of wisdom more, it was seriously like the answer was, let's hold off on quitting the caffeine until we look at this meat thing. And I'm thinking there might be more reason for that than I knew about, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Oh,
That's
man.
why I seem to be down today. I'm
You
fasting
do.
today, so
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm running a little sluggish. And I, stayed up till 4 in the morning. So, dude, that
Dope.
Ozark, have you seen that?
Part of it, yeah.
Written by Jason Bateman, stars and creates it. It's a great show, dude.
Yeah, I haven't watched the new
The-
season yet.
The
But
man is brilliant, I must
Okay.
say. And the new season, I haven't been disappointed by a season yet. As far as like,
oh, yeah.
the first one was sweet, and the second one was just as good, and they're keeping it up with the third too.
Good.
Remind me what he does in it. What's the?
He's
What's
a
the
money
premise?
launderer.
Oh, that's right.
It's
So-
Breaking Bad, but he's an accountant instead of a chem teacher. So he
Chemist.
deals with monies instead of
Mm-hmm.
building drugs.
Interesting.
They-
I've heard good things.
Acting and writing, phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I don't think I've ever seen a movie with Jason Bateman and thought, man, this guy sucks. You know,
Yeah,
I like
he's-
everything he's in.
I think he's underrated. He's super talented, and hopefully Ozark gets him out in the forefront. But he is super talented.
My only question is he as underrated as Don Cheadle?
Yes, he is.
For those who don't know, Don Cheadle is the most underrated actor in
I
Hollywood.
believe he's the most underrated black actor.
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. He hasn't gone off on Don Cheadle in a little while.
I think he's trolling us when he says that.
I'm sure he is.
That's our brother, Pepper. Likes to troll the fam.
He might love Don Cheadle. Nobody's really sure how he feels about
Good
it.
point. Never can tell.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, but he might love me too, or he might hate me. I'm not really sure how he feels about me either.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair.
anyways, what about you, Shadow? How was your week?
Good. I actually got a lot done this week.
Nice.
Not as far as work goes because
We don't have a lot.
Got
we don't
snot
have a lot
off a
of work.
couple of times.
Starting a job tomorrow, though.
yeah, we're starting a weld job tomorrow, and
The
So-
Amazon building American Fork. Have you seen it, dude? It's crazy.
is it giant?
Yeah, so the panels are super tall, but all the weld joints, like each panel welds, like has 6 plates between it.
Jeez.
Like I've never even seen that before.
Yeah, that's
and
a
the
lot.
plates have the bottom plates have gussets on them.
Or gussets?
They get like 1/2-inch welds.
oh my
Holy
gosh.
cow.
Which everyone listening is like, oh, so. But
That's
it's
a lot.
crazy. Yeah,
Holy
it's
cow.
a crazy job. Apparently, old what's his name wants his stuff protected.
Bezos.
Bezos.
Who,
The ledger is 4x8 tube steel.
Oh my gosh.
what?
That
Yeah.
is going to be a biatch. That
Yeah,
sucks.
so-
Are we putting the ledger in?
no, the steel's done. We're just welding the panels together.
Oh.
Well, the steel's half done. But
Did
they got
the-
another company doing it?
Did the concrete guys subcontract to you guys to do the...
No. So I'm kind of in with this concrete company, but apparently I'm not their favorite because they called in this other company,
Rude.
and the other company's too busy.
Oh.
And so I told them we could get 3 guys down there, but I'm like, call me first, dude. Like, what have I,
What
you
the
know, I've been
heck?
great for you guys. What are you doing? So,
And we love those weld jobs. They're freaking sweet.
yeah. But
Why?
hopefully this gets us in.
I just enjoy
We'll
them.
see. But
A lot of verts, though.
Yeah.
I hate verts.
Yeah, sometimes.
not me, but I'm good at them.
That's true. I'm not a great welder, period, but verts, oh my gosh. I'd rather do overheads than verts.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
typical.
That's real life.
But
Not me. I'd rather do verts than overheads.
You good at verts?
I wouldn't say I'm great at them. I'm not
this is good
amazing
pod.
at them.
Hey, we're all throwing jargon around. A vert is a vertical weld.
So, have you guys seen those videos where the stolen valor videos?
No.
I don't think so.
So, there's people out there in this world who pretend to be soldiers, you know, and then there's these videos of these. They're usually veterans calling them out for it, you know, threatening physical violence against them for
Pretending to be a veteran.
Are they pretending to be a veteran for the sake of getting veteran
Like discounts
benefits and stuff?
I think so. I think some of them are just standing there. I think a few might be the homeless people trying to get money. But I don't know. I hate them, dude. I'm like, okay, clearly, if you think about it, who dresses up like soldiers?
Children?
Children.
Oh,
Well done.
I was gonna say soldiers. I was like, I don't feel like that's
No.
right. I don't dare say it out loud.
So when you could see a grown man pretending to be a soldier, what's a pretty logical
Mind of a child.
Yeah, not bright. At minimum, low IQ. At maximum, on the spectrum, or you know,
Actually
yeah,
handicapped.
like, what are you doing? You know, then you get these soldiers like in their face, like, "How dare you? My friends died." Like, dude, first of all you're doing is make me feel bad for the retarded guy you're yelling at. You know. Second of all, you went over there to fight for the freedom for this guy to pretend to be you. You know.
Yeah.
And that's not to mention, imitation's the highest form of flattery, you know? And I get it if they're bilking people out of money, but
to some extent, you gotta trust the system to be
If
like,
you're-
yeah, you're not a soldier.
if you're crazy enough to convince people, or to try and dress up, to wear camo, to wear fake medals, how much charisma do you have that you're going to be taking money from people, you know? Like, come on, man. Like, I just, like, feel bad. You just make it worse for you, you know? You just seem like a jackass, and this poor retarded guy just, everyone feels bad for him. In my eyes, I don't
Just
know.
abusing
Yeah, it's like,
a special
come
person.
on, man.
A
what are you
special
doing?
boy.
You know? Like,
Interesting.
it drives me
funny.
crazy.
Are those on YouTube?
Yeah, it's rough. It's a rough watch if anyone wants to go check them out. Jeez Louise. You okay?
Stay 6 feet from me, bro.
Corona?
Nah, I got a little bit of that asthma.
Quick, hold your breath for 10 seconds. That's what I tell my kids. And then when they hold it for 12, I say, if you hold it for 12, you have coronavirus.
Oh, you didn't even make it 10 seconds.
This Rocky made me laugh.
You have corona.
I was at 8 seconds and I was going strong. No, it was just a cough. I've got a little bit of asthma, so
A little bit of the asthma.
it acts up on me once in a while.
Yeah, we've been healthy in this time of quarantine. We're very lucky, as far as I can tell. I haven't had any problems.
I don't know that it's luck. I mean, there's what, like 30 cases in Utah?
I think there's more now.
2,100 last I heard, I thought. Maybe.
There's
Really?
a lot.
Even
And there's
so,
like,
that's
I
not
think
that
there's
many.
190 deaths or something.
In Utah?
Mm-hmm.
Dope. I mean,
That
not
girl's
dope,
looking
but-
it up for us. Come on, girlie. What are you here for? You're here to Google.
Yeah, what do you think of that,
Just
Sid?
kidding.
He said girly like I like, remember?
Yeah, we talked about that. Catherine,
402 total cases.
yeah,
No,
2,100
that's not
seemed
1,200.
really...
Did I say 20?
That I think
Yeah.
that's wrong. I don't think that's been
What's
updated.
the date on that?
I just have the world meters pulled up. I just don't think it refreshed.
Oh.
So it's oh yeah.
What?
Catherine is a radical feminist in some aspects
Oh, sorry.
and doesn't care in others.
Oh.
And one of the things that really makes her mad is when old men talk down to her. And
Oh.
it's almost always old white men.
Sorry.
And they say things like sweetheart and honey and what else do they say?
Dear, you know, it's just
And girly.
Dear. But we were talking on the way over. I think I called her girly. I don't know how it came up, but she was like, it doesn't bother me when people call me girly. Rocky calls me girly. This guy she works with calls her girly, and she's like, it doesn't bother me. We talked about how. Did you find an updated number?
719 total cases, 2
Even
deaths.
so. 2 deaths? Yeah, 400 deaths seemed like a lot to me.
I might have been looking at
But-
the wrong. I think that might be the entire United States last time I checked.
Yeah. I would believe that 400 deaths in the U.S.
The U.S. is 2,400 right
Okay,
now. Deaths.
I would still believe that as well. The U.S. is a lot bigger than Utah.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we talked about it, and we talked about how that's one of the problems with feminism is a lot of it is just arbitrary. Like some girls get really pissed off or really upset when you call them sweetheart, and don't care if you call them girly. But then other girls would be like, "Don't call me girly," but they don't care if you call them sweetheart.
Do you think if I was ugly, a little creepy, and I called her girly, she'd feel the same?
I don't think so. I think she wouldn't like it.
I want to step in and say something.
Yeah.
I'm not part of this podcast.
By all means,
Please,
we
just,
can hear you.
just say it loud enough that we can
That's
hear you
why
on the
we're here.
microphone.
Insult us all. Call us all.
No, that's not. She's just clarifying.
No,
Misogynists.
Yeah, because
Because we just talked about
we
it
just
in
talked
the
about
car.
it. It's more of like the feeling behind it.
Sure.
It's not because you're
Right.
handsome. It's because
It's a little-
I'm not talking down to you.
But-
it's
you're
just
my brother and
but-
you're
I
calling me
like you,
girly
yeah.
as a brother.
we're friends. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Sure.
fortunately, because of
And brothers,
masculinity, all he heard from that is that he's handsome.
I know.
That's true. Handsome
So
as
the rest of that was super well reasoned, but he didn't hear it.
I'm just a pretty face. No, that's another thing we should talk about. Coronavirus. So
Okay,
I thought he was
there,
talking about
there are
feminism.
fears
we might get
because
there.
China's over it. You know, they kind of use their dictatorship to weld doors shut on apartment buildings and keep people home. And
Yeah.
I've heard reports that that's
A fake
news.
video. That wouldn't
Uh-huh.
surprise me.
The-
yeah.
that China is over it.
Oh, that China's over it? Okay, could be.
I
Anyway, let's talk.
continue,
No,
and then we'll talk
that'll
about
come
that
into
after.
play later. So there's all this fear about China is, you know, if they get over this first, they could take over the world and it'd be over, you know, and it'd be a horrible place to live if China was the premier superpower.
Sure.
Especially if China was a superpower like we're a superpower. But
Yeah.
I just don't think people understand how much of a superpower we are. Technically, we're the only superpower. There are other nuclear powers in the world, but we are far and away. And like people are like get nervous when, you know, we drive boats through the South China Sea and Trump starts talking smack about China and like, oh, he's gonna start World War III. Like, nah. Notice when we drive through the South China Sea,
They all back up.
yeah, they're on a bullhorn from the beach yelling at us.
Hey!
They're never in a boat in front of our boats, you know? Like, I think we're okay for a while. Like, we are so far beyond, like, I heard a joke, though, the other day that Iraq was the 4th largest army in the world when we took them out. And this comedian, I don't know who it was, Joe Rogan was quoting another comedian. He said, yeah, but after the first 3, it really starts to drop off. And, like, the 4th is Iraq and the 5th is the Salvation Army. But really, dude, it starts to drop off so much after ours, dude. Like, as far as... And China's, like, specifying their military to in order to be able to counter weaknesses in our military. You know, I get it. They have a lot of people. They could be a problem for us, for sure. And
Sure.
especially where they hold so much of our debt. But
Yeah.
the reason they hold so much of our debt is because they need us, dude. Like, the only reason they're as big as they are is because we buy all their stuff.
Yeah, all
you know?
of their
It's
stuff.
like,
Look on the underside of anything you've got.
we are so connected. I can't. And maybe I could be up in the night. I think that if there's World War III, it's gonna be everyone. You know, it's not gonna be.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just gonna be China. I think it'll just be
Every country in the world
all
will be on
hands
the
on
side.
deck.
Oh
Let's annihilate each other. You know. And I
Well,
just
because if World War III happens, we're sacrificing a global economy. And every country in the world is involved in this global economy and without it, they're not getting any money. And so it has to get bad enough that they're willing to give up every stream of revenue that they have outside of their country, which is most of them.
Yeah,
for
which is a
sure.
lot.
And you know, it goes both ways. I mean, if China fails, we're hurting too. You
Yeah.
know, but not near as bad, I don't think.
I don't know.
This is all my uneducated
A lot of our steel.
observances.
Yeah. A lot of our steel is imported.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we have some steel mills, but a lot of our steel is imported.
But notice how everyone was panicked over the tariffs, and I was too. Tariffs cause depressions, but
Yeah.
come to find out
Apparently,
it's working.
pandemics cause.
Yeah, come to
cause
find out it's
depressions, too.
working. Like they're coming to the table, they're doing anything Trump says. There's a lot of stuff that it's fixed. So
Yeah, and it's hard to argue. I think
No, go ahead.
a lot of people are scared of China because, I think we've all heard that they can have an army of like 1 billion people pretty easy,
mm-hmm.
and that's it's terrifying to think about that number. But then you're like, in this day and age, human lives are so cheap.
And I don't know. It's hard to say how effective is your fighting force when they're forced to be there. And
Yeah, conscripts
I
as
mean,
well as poorly trained conscripts. 'Cause
The Red Army, dude, gets throttled. Used to get throttled every time it went to war. Russia, loses wars, dude, until, the very end. Then,
then they switch
they're like-
sides and win.
well, that, and, they're like, well, we'll just back up here in the winter, burn everything. Now you guys are hungry.
Freeze to death.
Summertime, here we come,
Gotcha. Yeah.
Russia more waits for winter to come than
Yeah.
wins wars,
Yeah, that's...
Happened to Napoleon, happened to Hitler,
Yeah.
There's a lot of wars where they just get stomped, dude, and they were getting stomped in World War One, and then it was weird the way that ended up for them because they ended up with the revolution.
In a full-scale revolution and
The
government takeover.
Mongolians freaking throttled them like it was nothing. 10,000 soldiers beat the entire Russian army. It was.
Yep.
Well, and that's kind of a theme with that too. Is they just throw men in there. They just throw guys at war until the other forces overcome, and that only
That
works.
doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily
if
work.
you're.
That's not necessarily winning. Is
Yeah.
kind of my thing.
If you
with
want
that.
to learn a little about Russia, there's the Hardcore History podcast on World War One. Have you heard it?
I've heard some of the hardcore history
It's pretty
podcasts.
good.
Oh
not
my
that one,
gosh,
though.
dude!
World War One is crazy, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on.
Yeah.
It's 5 podcasts long, and they're all 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, he goes
And
into
it's
depth.
so much information,
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
step by step through the entire war. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
but
cool.
Every war I've ever heard of Russia being in there, just getting stomped
They
for
get,
the
that's
first 3
kicked.
quarters, and then the last quarter they pull it out. Oh, okay.
Like the last half of the third quarter is their winter, so
Yeah.
that last quarter they're like,
Yeah, it's crazy. So
we had our vodka all winter.
I'm trying to find so there's
We kill you now.
a page of military logistics of government spending, but it's comparing different countries. The United States spends more on their military platform spending, which is $500 billion or $500 billion.
wait, who's this?
The United States. It's higher than the next 49 countries
Yeah,
on the list.
It's insane.
Combined. Not
Yeah.
obviously it's higher because they're the top spenders, but it's higher than the next 49 countries on the list combined.
Well, yeah, and a lot of that.
And then
paying for other countries' militaries and stuff. We get insane with our spending.
and then we have double the number of aircraft carriers, double the number of planes, double the number of destroyers, and it's just all the way down the list. And that's just the next country down the list. We have double. We have quadruple the number of nuclear weapons than the next country on the list, and just so on and so forth. And it just drastically drops from there. It's an exponential curve, with us far and above at the top.
above
With
at
the
the
United
top.
States, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, and it's all propaganda from other countries that says that you could lose to us. I don't think so.
It's like Pepper coming up to all of us and be like, I could kick your butt. All right, dude. Whatever.
I can take you all at the same time.
No, but he's got his shirt off, so he's flexing these muscles.
yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty strong. Man, he can beat me up, and then we forget to look down.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty jacked myself.
I've got old man strength.
I feel like Trump's the first president in a long time that's actually kind of
Standing
flex that muscle.
Yeah. Not letting other countries.
Yeah.
Oh, I could kick your ass.
Because
Yeah, all right.
there was a lot of that talk going around. Even when Bush was in office, oh well, we got to worry about China. They could, And then all of a sudden, Trump gets in, everyone's realizing. I
Maybe we
think
don't
we
need to
could
worry about
probably
China.
handle most of these folks,
Well, and there is concerns. We're not making light of. There are
underdogs-
concerns,
Underdogs do win.
and economically they could devastate us, but it would
they'd
be
be
at the price
devastating
of their own.
themselves. Yeah.
And at the risk
Yeah.
of offending your wife, God's still on our side. So we're
She
doing
doesn't get
all right.
offended about that stuff. She just doesn't care too
Doesn't want to
bad.
hear it. Doesn't want to hear it right now.
No, she doesn't. That's an I don't care shake, not a negative, right? Yeah.
She is unconcerned.
Yeah, she's
So-
not anti, she just isn't necessarily for.
I don't want this to dissolve into anything. I don't want this to offend you.
You won't.
You've had a falling away recently from the
Sure.
church, correct?
Bit of one.
And I only bring this up because I feel like this is kind of what we're doing here on this podcast, is trying to get viewpoints on religion mostly.
Yeah, I get that.
So, do you care to get real honest right now and share your feelings?
Talk to us
Definitely.
about
why
it.
you're
So.
And we promise not to attack
Yeah.
you for it.
Please do. Please attack. I'm not scared. You're gonna have to work pretty hard to actually offend me. So I'm gonna give a very small explanation of my wife first.
Wait. What if I were to tell you your mother was a hamster and your father smelled
Now I'm offended.
All right.
That's just true.
Bring out the holy hand grenade.
I fought in your general.
And we digress.
I'm gonna try and give not a lot of personal information about my wife, but a little background with my wife first.
Sure.
Because we're a couple, it's very intermingled, as you well know, being married.
Almost like China and the U.S. and their
Almost
economies and
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah, if I want to tank myself, or if I want to tank Catherine, I have to tank myself at the same time.
The
Exactly.
the United States and
average.
China are a super unhealthy
You're on
marriage.
average 40% stronger than she is, but there are things she can do to you that you're like, oh, that sucks. You know?
Exactly.
Alright.
Exactly.
That's a little too real with the world economies, Rocky.
We call it vagina.
Huge.
I'm leaving.
Continue.
Jaina. I first stopped going to church out of sheer laziness.
Yeah,
You know,
that's an
it's
easy one.
a really easy trap to fall into. Super understandable for just about every member of the church. That's not
And this
a
church's
missionary.
canceled thing doesn't help
Oh
at
man,
all.
seriously. And that being said, I still believe everything the church teaches. To this day, I believe everything the church teaches. But we both stopped going, and for those of you that don't know, my wife and I have had the terrible, terrible experience of not one but two miscarriages. And after the first miscarriage, Catherine felt like she didn't get very much support from the church and from certain members of both my and her families, and not certain members, kind of the majority of the members. And so that really tanked it for her. And then as we go along, we have another miscarriage, and she feels fairly similarly. Only she expects less support, so it's not as hard. Am I off base so far? And that is long story short of how she had her falling out with the church. And she also hasn't felt like her prayers have been answered in a long time. And so it's a number of things, as it always is. As far as me, again, I still believe what the church teaches, but laziness prevents me from going, and I do enjoy breaking the word of wisdom, and I still try to be smart about it. I believe that I'm not addicted to any substances, including caffeine. That's kind of my big takeaway from the word of wisdom with our family is be healthy, don't be addicted. And the don't be addicted is big in our family because we are genetically inclined to be addicted.
Genetic predisposure.
Yeah, and so I enjoy doing things that aren't okay with the word of wisdom, and I try to do it in moderation and not get addicted to stuff. So that's my honest opinion of where I'm
So
at.
no major philosophical
No.
arguments for you. What about you, darling? You got anything you like, oh, sorry, girly. Do you have anything you strongly disagree with? And you don't have to answer. You can say.
Come over here and
I'm
tell
not-
us about it, darling.
I'm not comfortable talking. I'm just interested in philosophical differences in general. So it's not an attack. I won't even argue with you. I just would like. I'm just interested to hear things.
Yeah, come on over.
Can you hear me?
Here, have my chair. I gotta go get a drink.
There's another stool in the kitchen if you want to bring it back in.
I just never know what to say about
This is-
any of this.
This is Catherine Bishop, our
Hi.
sweet sister-in-law, Golden's wife. Okay. Let's
And
see what
our
she says.
new guest star.
So I the church, because you're saying you didn't know what to say. So the church is, my life's been hard enough that I recognize, and I'm not saying this is everybody. What I'm saying is, for some reason, I'm the kind of person who, when I falter in the church, my life just falls apart. And so I consider myself one of the lucky ones because I know where I belong. So even if my prayers aren't being answered, which they are, even if my prayers aren't being answered, I feel like I'd give it the benefit of the doubt because I know it's not that long after I quit going to church and my life falls apart. And that's just me. That's my addictive personality. That's a lot of things. You know, my narcissism really comes out strong when I'm not practicing in the church. So I'm always interested to hear why other people's experiences with the church, having left the church and come back. I'm always interested to hear other people's experiences leaving the church. So
I feel like it's actually a lot better for our marriage not going to church. At least me not going to church. I feel like we used to fight constantly. We would fight going to church and coming back, and Sundays were the worst, and there was just a lot of things happening. And now I feel like for the first time that I can be who I am. And I can, I'm still a good person. I feel like I haven't changed that much, but
Sure.
I am a lot happier with myself. I'm not fighting to be this perfect person, which I know that's not really what the church teaches, but that's how I felt about it. That I could never do enough. I was never good enough for these people, or I was never trying hard enough, and I just felt like I was falling short constantly. And now,
sure.
So there's kind of a feeling of almost a perfectionist feeling that wasn't being met. Is that correct?
Not almost.
yeah.
It's yeah.
Sure.
And I don't know if you guys know me. I'm like a straight A student, and I like getting things
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah, it's a hard culture, and I've noticed this for people who are super worried about, and I don't even know. Let's see how to put this. It's not even super worried about what other people think. Just super worried about being successful and having a good life. This is a hard culture to be a part of because you feel like you're not being socially successful, and that's understandable for sure. Fortunately for me, I've never been real socially successful, so I realized today, like my wife was saying, we were playing a game and I was just thinking, and I was actually having like a super powerful spiritual experience. I was fasting, but I was just staring at her and she was like, stop giving me dirty looks, and I realized, oh, I get resting bitch face. And that's why I don't have friends, because people think I'm just like this standoffish guy. When I'm actually, if you talk to me, I'm super, So I've never been real socially successful, so that part of the church doesn't really affect me, But I get it. I get where people can be. It's a hard culture. It's a hard church to be a part of. I mean, just the word of wisdom, like we were talking about, is super difficult, and we've dropped our block to 2 hours, but the block was a lot. And old timers will be like, well, it used to be all day. Like, okay, old timer, we get it. Your generation was better than ours, clearly. But
Okay, boomer.
it's a hard church, and even like men like Dennis Prager, who he's a Jew, and he's got a pretty hard dietary restrictions,
Yeah,
but
no
they
bacon.
can drink and they can smoke.
Does he adhere to the dietary
Oh yeah,
restrictions?
he's big time.
Good for him.
But-
Big time Jewish.
And he's said several times, like, I'd take cigars over bacon any day. So, because I think
Some days I get
I
that.
think he's pretty close to some Mormon families who are like, dude, you'd make the greatest Mormon ever. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, I don't need more restrictions, you know. And he's happy with his church and the religion that he's involved in is completes him and makes him happy, and I'm with him in believing that, you know, religion's an important thing, and maybe that's just you guys knowing the church, you know, and knowing that Christ is there for you, and maybe you need a new church. I don't know, and maybe you don't, you know. I don't know. I just know from my life experience you know, my life seriously falls apart.
Yeah.
And you guys know, you guys all witnessed it, you know. Not so much Catherine as much, but
She's heard stories.
she heard, you know.
You
But
caught the tail end.
It's so it's easy for me to stay, so I'm always interested in, you know, people's stories. So right on. Anything else you'd like to add in your?
No, I think the main part is being happy where you are, right?
Sure.
And you're happy
Mm-hmm.
being Mormon, and I
Yeah.
think that's fabulous.
Being a member of the
Oh,
church.
I'm sorry. Let me try again. It's just so long.
I know. I'm just teasing you. You're fine. I was just teasing you.
Yeah, that's the key for me, and I feel like lots of people are like, no, like the church brings so much happiness, and I appreciate that,
Mm-hmm.
but for me it didn't.
Yeah. No.
And
Yeah. I honestly, I cannot push my experience onto anyone, and sometimes I look at people and wonder, like, why are you doing this? You know, like, you're so successful without it. You know, if I could be successful without it in my life, I would probably have left. I would have stayed gone when I left. But
You mean if you could be successful without God?
without the church, yeah, or
Oh,
God,
sure. Gotcha.
you know,
I just wanted to clarify and make sure I was
yeah. If I could be successful without religion, my particular religion, or God, I would do it. It's a tons easier life, you know.
It is.
And I enjoy the booze, like I've talked about on this. I love smoking, you know, and coffee is, you know, manna from
Heavenly?
heaven, you
Yeah.
know, sent to me. But I just,
Her too.
I love coffee, but you know, I spent a lot of my years rebelling against everything I could, and it was very destructive for me. And so now I'm turning to try and be as obedient as possible. And, you know, obviously it hasn't affected you guys as bad. Sounds like it's been better for you to be
To an extent.
less obedient.
To
Your
an
marriage,
extent.
anyways.
Yeah, for our marriage.
Which is interesting.
Are you done?
I just thought that you wanted to talk.
No, you can. We can both talk.
You
Yeah,
can
we
both talk. We can hear you both.
Okay.
I'll let him know if he's being too loud.
I'm sure we could hear you from the bed, but it's nice to have you up here so that I don't have to turn all the way around. I think one of the biggest differences, at least for me, is I'm not rebelling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've just relaxed a little with
Yeah.
my
Yeah, and
my
that,
adherence to certain things.
that definitely could have been my problem. Was I was in open rebellion
Active
against God. Like,
rebellion,
I
yeah.
was doing anything and everything to
Fighting.
and which made me into a wicked man, and I did wicked things, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, God still loves me now, but He let me kick the crap out of myself before. You know, He made sure that I knew where I belonged.
He's like, oh, you want to rebel?
Yeah.
Well, let's see what I got for you.
Have
Let's
fun.
see. Go ahead and fight. Let's see how many of those punches land on you instead of me. You know. So.
And I think to an extent, if I understand correctly, this isn't a rebellion for you, Catherine, correct?
I don't feel like it
you're,
is.
you're not rebelling against God
No.
by any means.
My mother did say I was rebelling, but I feel like this is a journey of finding happiness.
Sure.
And it's not, I don't feel like I don't believe in God. I don't really know what I believe at this point, but I know that I find happiness not in a church.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps me a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah, you know, and I'm all about that. I mean, more power to you if that's what you find, you know. I just, no, it doesn't work for me, so I'm always interested. Again, I'm restating. This is not an
Yeah.
attack.
Are you
I'm
always
just
interested?
fascinated.
We know.
I'm just interested.
And at least for me, I can't speak for Catherine in most things. I can tell some of her stories, but I can't tell you how she's feeling at every given second.
Sure.
I can read her emotions, but it's not a perfect art. That being said, I still feel promptings, to be a better person, and I felt the Spirit strongly when Shadow was giving Dad a blessing in regards to Grandpa's passing.
Sure.
So
Well, that's hard not to do. He comes in with a club and bashes everyone upside the head.
Dude, it
was
was
rough.
bad, bro.
it was
That's
was
the thing.
awesome.
He knows when he's got the club too, and he hates it. He's like, here we go.
he was hitting himself too. That was the best part.
Oh, yeah. I was like freaking snotty on his back.
That's not an exaggeration.
That
was
really
gross.
It was gross.
Well, I guess I should say this as well. Being a male, and a particularly dense male, both in musculature and brains,
I think it's skull.
And I, Rocky, being large in stature.
yeah, not brain, skull density. I'm sorry, I wasn't more supportive over the miscarriage. But I honestly don't know how I would have been more supportive if it was my wife, because I don't get I've always been like this, but I don't, my grasp on the tragedy of death is way
Fleeting.
removed. I don't, my grandpa just died, and I'm like, good, I was tired of watching him go. It was sucked. He's got more to learn. And maybe it's my sound testimony of the afterlife. I don't know. But so I don't know how to be empathetic in that regard. And not just to you. I'm sure I was too jokey at the funeral for my dad and his brothers.
And at dad's funeral.
I
and at
know I
grandma's
was
funeral.
I
And
know,
at Junior's funeral.
I know I was too jokey at Grandma's funeral. Junior's funeral was a little different. I think it was kind of expected that we'd be jokey there because that was the
That's
way Junior
Junior,
was.
yeah.
But I don't empathize that well with anybody, really. And it's caused a lot of problems in my life. But I am sorry that we weren't as supportive as we could have been.
Not to contradict my husband, but I don't feel like that's part of it.
Okay.
Okay.
It started off, miscarriage is a rough and terrible thing.
Are you open to exploring it with us a little bit? Like why it's so hard? I'm with Rocky.
Why miscarriage is so hard?
Yeah. What made it so difficult for you?
It changes everything overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Like as soon as you get that little line on your pee stick, it's you're a parent. And I know that Golden doesn't really feel this way because it wasn't really real for him.
It wasn't
but
tangible.
Yeah.
This second
And that's
one
the thing,
was
it-
real.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's far more tangible for a woman a lot sooner
Right,
than it is
like-
for a man.
And I knew before I peed on that stick,
Mm-hmm.
and things start getting weird,
did.
and you start puking,
She didn't
and
know she was pregnant. It was freaky.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then,
But it's for Golden, it's kind of not tangible until your body starts going through changes.
right,
Correct.
yeah. And because I lost both babies
No.
so early, he never really got that.
Even then, like your wife goes through changes, it wasn't tangible for me.
Till
It
it
was
was a
tangible
kid.
when, and I have a bizarre son who was born and looked me in the eyes. And I guess newborns don't do that.
That
but-
sounds like an Ender thing.
Yeah. But he was like, all right, you ready, bro? And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a dad now. But
I've heard that's pretty common.
Yeah,
It's not
so-
real for men until their
Yeah,
child
so-
is born.
we struggle with the empathy thing, I
Yeah.
think, on that.
Even that first pregnancy, when I told Golden I was pregnant, he was out on the driveway, and I ran out and was like, hey, it's positive.
Mhm.
And he's like, cool. And he just ran past me into the house, and I was like,
Yeah, and I feel
Just
like
got off work. I had to poop.
I have a theory.
You're going to hell, dude.
Nah, that's
Oh,
the
congrats!
worst,
I'm about to go into the bathroom and give birth too. Bye.
dude. That's the worst,
I'm
dude.
surprised you didn't say that.
When you gotta go and it's like, see ya, there's nothing else. But
Oh yeah.
I feel like, and I don't know what it is, because there are some men who feel it more than others. So between social media and Hollywood, showing that every man reacts to a pee stick with tears and jumps for joy.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
Is such
even just a hug would have been okay.
is such a fallacy. I think men are like, they don't even comprehend it. They don't even know what it is until it's there, and then they get it. But until it's there, men are like, okay, like, sounds good. Guess you're gonna get fat now, huh? Like, that's as far as it goes. For a lot of men, that's as far as it goes. And even that, they don't grasp that until they're like, oh, you're getting fat now. Like men are, I think that women would be like, if a woman could spend a day in a man's brain, they'd be amazed at how empty it really is, like how little goes on, And I think if a man went into a woman's brain, they'd go insane. Like, oh my gosh,
Just shut up. Everything, shut up.
And that's
So much going on.
That's a Dennis Prager original right there. That's not my own thought, but I agree with it wholeheartedly that,
And that's not every man also. Like Hollywood paints this idea of one thing and we're painting another thing. That's it, and that's the point. Every man is different and going to respond
Manhood's
differently.
a spectrum.
Yeah.
Much like gender and autism and colors, rainbows.
Yeah, indeed.
I think
Teeth whiteness.
I think a part of the problem is the attack on masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's so much like Hollywood and social media where the men are just like, I'm so happy. Like everyone's trying to tell you that masculinity is a bad thing.
Yeah, and then a man who doesn't get it all of a sudden looks bad.
Yep.
You had to run in and go to the bathroom. You didn't get it. And I'm not saying you were bad in any way to expect it. I'm just saying that's one of my theories. Like, that's Satan's like, well, let's just make men look like they're supposed to act this way, and then when most of them don't,
That's exactly what
it
I'm
causes
saying.
more problems for sure.
It's part of the attack.
It's because Hollywood men are, as the kids say, awake.
Woke.
I would have said that, but it's grammatically incoherent.
Is that a Hope? Is that a Captain Hope?
Yeah.
It's not grammatically woke to say woke.
It's grammatically incoherent. So,
Sweet. What are we at, bro?
Almost 50 minutes.
You guys got anything you would like to add about your experience?
Do you?
No.
You sure? You seemed hesitant.
Somehow,
No, just everyone's looking at me.
Oh.
that's because a good portion of this podcast turned into talking about you and your experience.
So,
and Rocky orating to you about your experience.
Oh, is that what I did? Did I tell you your experience?
He says no.
No, not about her experience, but you did orate for a good minute. It was awesome.
Oh, I do that. Sorry.
We know.
I go off.
He's the king of that.
We know.
Yeah, sorry.
I know.
Well, dope. Anytime you guys would like to come back on and discuss this, anytime you have like a real philosophical grievance, we'd love to have it on here.
Yeah.
I hope we've established a little trust so that you feel like you can come on here and not be attacked.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I barely know you people.
So, yeah, cool. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
Dope.
Sir.
Okay, well, glad we could have you on. This kind of was not planned, so if it seems a little unscripted, it definitely was.
It was probably the least scripted one we've done, if
Wow.
I'm being honest.
I don't know. I think my first one was
Oh, you're right.
Pretty
Yeah, I forgot
unscripted.
about that one. That one was rough.
super rough.
That's like my favorite one.
The first podcast I was a
I
part
don't
of?
know. I
Oh.
can't even remember it. I'm just trying to be contradictory like I do.
As he does.
Sounds bad.
He's comfortable attacking me.
I'm comfortable attacking most things. I find like that's like an instinct for me. Like I really have to watch myself because like if somebody starts spouting their opinion as aggressively as I do, which I do, like if I'm laying something out, I'll lay it out. I automatically just start forming arguments against them, even if I believe them or not. I'm like, yeah, but I could prove you out here. Like it's such a game for me. Like I struggle,
Yeah.
and it makes it hard in a marriage. Women love that, just so you know, that you're constantly trying to form arguments against them. So, word to the wise. stop that instinct because it's a marriage brutalizer. So
Duly noted. Okay, I think we're good for this week.
Issue pushed.
Yeah, Danite, Danite's attack, or Danite stop attacking.
Danite scatter.
We got to come up.
Were you a gorilla?
I have a book with a Danite call in it. Maybe we should make that one of our bumpers.
Look into it.
And also on the Godcast, I'd like to put change it out with Thou Art My Vision once in a while. I love that song.
Done. I can make it happen.
Make sure
because
that
he's our
one's not
computer man.
copyrighted.
Yeah, I'm technologically inept, but somehow I became the sound
Tech
mixer.
guy.
So here's what I don't understand. If somebody's singing it on YouTube, maybe this should be a conversation off air, but if somebody's singing it on YouTube, you can't use it? Like if it's a hymn, you can't use it if somebody else is singing it?
I don't know the YouTube copyright laws.
For example, Ellen Yee is singing a song, we can't use that?
I
'Cause
don't.
all they do is
think so.
remakes and hymns.
I don't think so.
But if it's a remake, I don't understand.
We could email them.
I know. But here's the thing. I don't want to put anyone's name on the line here that doesn't have to be, you know? I don't want anyone to feel like they've supported a
Podcast they disagree with.
horrible person, you know? So I don't
Well,
want to ask anyone.
Yeah,
you know?
because it's hard to attach your name to something that you're not directly involved with.
Yeah, so I don't know.
You know, directly involved with the opinions that are pushed.
I feel bad enough that you guys are tangled up in this mess, you know?
I enjoy it.
Yeah, you enjoy it till it gets ugly, and it could.
I enjoy it.
We've already had some opinions that could be, I don't know, could sink a presidential campaign for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Unless
we
you're
better
Trump,
take this
dude.
down so Rocky can run for office.
Nah, dude.
You can make it as a city councilman, and that's all the power you ever need.
Have you guys watched Tiger King yet?
I've heard it's amazing.
Oh my gosh, dude. We finished it last night. It's crazy.
There's a lot of jokes about it on the internet right
A
now.
lot, and they happen so fast.
Turns out if you own hundreds of big cats, you're little nuts. And that's the rule.
It's like the ultimate
That I'm
cat
yet
lady.
to see get broken.
I'm going to throw this out here.
The ultimate
If you live in Oklahoma,
Yeah.
you're also nuts.
Okay.
Is he from Oklahoma?
But there's one in Florida and one in South Carolina too. So
Oh, I
it's
thought
not
it was
just
the
this
Oklahoma
state.
guy.
It's about all three of them. Well, there's like 5 of them, and they're
I
all
didn't know that.
they're all
Oh,
equally crazy in different directions.
Eccentric, equally
Yeah,
eccentric.
It's amazing the bonkers personality that comes with owning multiple large cats. Yeah.
Well, I think owning one large cat is a
Oh, and it goes with
person. Like Mike Tyson had one, and he was nuts.
That's true. It goes with wanting to work for people who own multiple big cats too. You have to be crazy to do that as well. So,
Sure.
like crazy enough to get your arm ripped off by a tiger and go to work 5 days later.
Taking care of tigers?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have any days off? No days off? 365 days a year they're on. They're agreeing
Mhm.
to a lifestyle of raising big
Yeah, it's
cats.
crazy.
I knew that
Jeez
part. That's
Louise.
nuts.
Yeah, it's insane. So, right on. Okay, let's end it, bro.
Anyways.
Even though we just did, and then I kept talking through. Sorry.
Alrighty, have a good week, and God bless.